we only found this out after we got the review, after we got the medical records. And he stated in there that they were looking at, discharging her Saturday.
And it sounds like she was ready.
She was ready, yeah. She wanted to go. She wanted to go to Trafford Centre and buy a new dress for the party she was going to. So yeah, it sounded like she was ready. Now, what went on, when we left?
On the Saturday
night.
So when you left, your mum was okay.
Well, we were all in the room together, weren't we?
Yeah.
And she said, "Are you going home now? Because X Factor's on and I want to watch it." So I said, "Well, we've missed half of it now because we're sat here with you, having a joke." And she was laughing and joking, sat up in bed, wasn't she? She said, I said, "Have you got enough to eat there?" She said, "Yeah." She had bananas piled up, little tangerines,
drinks,
bags of crisps, cakes.
She had everything.
She had everything piled up there for a munchy night. We used to call it a munchy night because she'd sit there in front of the telly, stuff in her face. And she was happy. She just wanted us to go.
So she could, settle down and watch telly.
And nobody had approached you and said, "There's been issues," or
no.
"We're thinking of this."
No.
And you went home as a family.
We went home about 9:30, 9:45
but
on that
I know
Saturday night.
said she could.
She was,
fine.
Afterwards when we read into the notes, and it said she was fine. Now, before we went, I left my telephone number, and also my sister left her telephone number. I said
my number was down as next to kin.
Next to kin. So I said, if anything happens, please, feel free to call me, whatever time it will be. It doesn't matter to me. My mobile goes to bed with me if you like. Right, yeah, no problem. That's okay. Didn't hear nothing. Got up Sunday morning, thought, right, we'll have some breakfast, then we'll head up towards the hospital. And you telephoned me, didn't you?
I got there first, didn't I? I'd got there about 9 o'clock in the morning because it was one of those wards where you could go whatever time you wanted and sit with them. And I just looked at her and I thought, there's something wrong here, something's not right. She wasn't the same chirpy mum that had left hours before. And I come out the room and I phoned Jude in and I said, "You need to get down here." I said, "There's something going on."
Now, we wasn't sure what had happened because you can't just leave somebody who is ready to be discharged on a Saturday to go back on a Sunday and find they're in this sort of comatose state. It didn't make sense.
So what did you do?
I questioned the nursing staff.
Now, at this point, tell me what their attitudes were like. Was it the same? Or did you see any changes?
I didn't see any changes at that point. What we asked was what's gone wrong, and it was my wife actually that says, "What's happened?" "Oh, we think she might have got an infection." And then I said, "What kind of infection?" "Well, we don't know. We'll have to do some tests." So I said, "Well, what are you giving her for it?" "Well, give her some antibiotics." And then,
But she'd only just had a course of antibiotics.
Yeah, she was, obviously...
She was fine.
She was fine. This is what we don't get.
To deteriorate overnight, like the way she did...
It didn't make sense.
There was something untoward about it, wasn't there? Something not right.
I'm not saying that something happened untoward because I don't know that and the records don't show that. Without being a medical person, I can't read into those notes and say that they give her this, they give her that, because I don't know and it's not noted. But
so there's nothing noted?
No, there's
nothing. About something happening in the night?
No.
So presumably...
In fact, she wasn't even seen from when we left until we got there next morning. Nobody came in a room.
So there was nothing on the notes and nobody came to you and said, well...
I got no phone call.
This is what happened.
If she'd have took ill through the night, the one question I asked them nurses to do, or the one thing I asked them nurses to do before I went home was, if there's any change in her circumstances, please, contact me. There's the number. We can be around in 5 minutes. Because it didn't make sense that if I leave them a number, why haven't they phoned me if there's been a deterioration? So that proves to me that nobody's been in there and asked her what the problem is or seen what the problem was.
So am I right? It seems like you were the first people to say there's something wrong here.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like.
She'd been on her own. Something had happened.
From us leaving on the Saturday night until us returning on the Sunday morning, not one medical person had been in that room.
I mean, obviously they might have been in, and if she was a bit restless, you know, they to give her anything she needed. But what they used to do is they never used to go in the room. They used to have a look through the door flap. Oh, they're resting, we'll leave them. And to me, that isn't care. So obviously Sunday when we got there, there was nothing that come from the hospital to us to say that there'd been any changes overnight. But when we actually seen her, we noticed a big change. She was breathing heavy, you know, panting. She was warm, you know, she was like, she wasn't the same,
clammy,
skin was clammy. She wasn't the same person we left, you know, 10 hours before. So I asked the question at nurses, we don't know what's, you know, she was okay last night. Now, if there was a change, surely they would have notified us. They did say they did a couple of tests, took some bloods, whatever, and said she's got a virus. Now, when they was asked what kind of virus this was, they didn't know, but they'd give us some antibiotics. Now, going late on to Tuesday, there was still no change. And according to the notes,
she was still about the same.
No, on the Monday she was placed on the.
Sorry. From the Sunday to the Monday, there was still no change.
But did she get worse?
She was round about the same. He was on that same sort of level.
Not very well.
Not very well. She wasn't very well.
She was eating and drinking. That was
she was eating and
Okay.
drinking. Yeah.
And talking to you.
And talking. Now, can I just maintain that all the way
Yes.
through, right the way up to her death? My mum was a full, sound mind and body.
Clearly.
She knew exactly what was going on. Okay.
So there's no issue here about the mental capacity act.
No.
Right,
No.
your mum was of sound mind and body
Yes.
and could have answered and asked questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
She could have asked and
Okay.
answered questions, which she was doing freely to us in the room.
Absolutely.
Now, going through the
Monday.
Monday morning, actually, we all went as per normal because there was no change. You know, we stayed quite late on the Sunday evening, then going through to Monday morning. There wasn't that much change. They'd give us some more antibiotics round about 2 o'clock, if I remember right, or early morning. It might have been 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. I'd have to consult the notes to see. And at 5:10,
On the Monday.
on the Monday, 5:10 on the Monday, the doctor came and said, no, sorry, it was 2 o'clock. I do tell a lie, it's 2 o'clock. Came to us in the room and says, we feel that your mum hasn't got long to live.
Okay. And your mum was listening to this?
This was outside of the room.
Right, okay.
It wasn't done in front of mum. She just got us to one side. It was me and my other
Right.
sister at first, and we've arranged for a palliative nurse to come and see you. So I said, what's that for? Well, she's close to death. She's got roughly 4 to 6 hours to live. And I went, what? I didn't understand why.
And you'd just come out the room talking to her. Although she wasn't well, and she was, but she was having these antibiotics.
Yeah.
But she was just not feeling very well. Really.
No, it was... Anyway, we went to see
Yes.
the palliative care team, who says...
When you say the team,
Right.
tell me who was this team made up of? Because we are aware, aren't we, of the multidisciplinary
Right, well,
team
that wasn't
that's
actually...
supposed to be there.
That wasn't actually mentioned to us at first. What was actually mentioned was, we've got a palliative nurse or specialist coming up to see you. We'd like you to go in and have a chat because now we feel like your mum's near to the end of life. And I says, I don't understand because she was okay 2 days ago. Someone just can't turn without you knowing what it is. Her lungs okay, is it? Yeah, everything points towards everything being okay. It's just that we don't know what it is. So one of my questions was, how can you say she's near the end of life? Now, I didn't understand the more comfortable bit because what that meant to me was if you wanted my mum to be more comfortable, you would give her a cushion, you'd raise her legs, you'd give her, are you comfortable? A cup of tea or
Yes,
whatever.
Annette said earlier that with somebody who's disabled, and she wasn't in hospital because she was disabled, she was in hospital because she'd had a bit of a problem with her lung, to say to somebody who's in a wheelchair, she'll make you more comfortable.
That's what it was, you know. And she said she's very close to death now. She's in the final stages of death, and it wouldn't go into my head why she was in final stages of death. I looked at my sister, and I just broke down in the room. You know, why is this happening?
Can I just be absolutely clear?
Yeah.
They had just said to you that your mum's in the final stage. She's got 4 hours.
4 to 6 hours.
4 to 6 hours. But your mum had just been talking to you.
She was muttering. She wasn't, you know, she was talking. She knew exactly what was going on.
Yes.
And she knew what she was
was talking about.
Yes, but she wasn't well.
She wasn't well.
So it's like any person who's not very well. She was a bit, I can't be bothered to make big conversations.
That's it.
I don't feel like it.
Mm.
What you've got to remember
very
throughout
normal.
this is that, like I've said before, she was corpus mentis. She was, you know, all there.
Yes.
Now with the nursing,
Okay.
well, with the palliative care specialist, she's trying to explain. First of all, it's a shock tactic. Your mum's close to death. She's in her final hours.
And
So
you
then-
said that you broke down, Eddie.
I did, yeah, because nobody wants to see the parent die. You know, and it is a shock to the system, especially when you don't. If they've had a terminal illness and you knew they were going to die, then it's not so much of a shock. It still is a shock. Don't get me wrong, but it's not so much of a shock because you're expecting it. It's when you're not expecting it, when, you know, she's booked up on a Saturday and you're looking forward to getting her on for her 80th birthday, then that's the shock part. It's, well, hang on a minute, what's going on? I've just been hit by a train.
Yeah.
And, you know, what are you going to tell me now?
And what
We're
did
going to
they
make
tell
her more comfortable. She won't have the requirement for food or drink because her body doesn't need it. She won't feel, you know, if it's no benefit to her no more because her body's closing down.
What do you
And
think
it's-
about that now?
Now I think
About the idea that you don't need food or drink?
it's the biggest load of codswallop ever.
I think because you trust in the people, because the medical profession, right, and you don't know because you're not a medical person, so you trust in what they're saying.
At the end of the day, you know,
You put your trust in them.
yeah, you do. At the end of the day, you've got to believe what they say because they're the professionals. Now, when she's telling me that your mum won't have the need for food or water, body doesn't need it anymore, you know, and the only thing I can say to you is, you know, be prepared because, you know, that's what's going to happen. The eventuality is it's nature's way of taking you through the final stages. We will be making her more comfortable and we'll be giving her some drugs to help her. Now, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a physician, you know, I don't know what these drugs are. She didn't explain to me what they were.
She didn't.
No, she didn't actually name them.
Did you feel too stunned to say, and too lacking in knowledge because you're not medical people,
Well,
to ask what they would be?
when they try to...
She said, we're going to put your mum on the pathway, didn't she? And I said, well, what's the pathway? Because we'd never heard of it before. And she said, oh, it's something we do to make your mum more comfortable.
Okay.
So
Sorry, so she
at
didn't...
that point,
Go on.
I said to you, didn't I? Well, if it's something to make my mum more comfortable,
Then
it must be a good thing.
don't forget now, she's already told she's only got 4 to 6 hours to live.